Thank you for your question. For me, the very important aspect of environmental and sustainable education research is ethics. I think my answer could be surprising, but as a researcher, there's a huge demands, social needs about environmental problems. And sometimes learners are instrumentalized for external purpose. And for me, this is a very strong problem. Education is a lever for emancipation. So environmental education and sustainable education should be part of this emancipation. And as researcher, we have a very strong responsibility to help teachers and educators to guide learners to be more free. So research in the field implies a very strong ethical stance. This means that researcher must clarify his or her position with regards to environmental and sustainability issues, the aim of the research, and also with its social utility. So the aim of research in environmental and sustainable education should not be first to change the world, but first to help people to become more clever, more skilled, and so on. So the primary purpose in education is to support learner, whether child or adult, in his own or her development. The political dimension and the complexity of environmental issues cannot be ignored, nor can we reduce education to adherence to an ideology. So to put it another way, environmental emergency does not justify research carried out without ethical questioning. The ethical dimension is strong in environmental education as developed by Lucie Sauvé chairs in Éducation relative à l'environnement in UQAM. Éducation relative à l'environnement is a French concept close to environmental education, but it's not exactly the same. Education relative à l'environnement is focused on the relation between learners and environments. So the most important thing is the relation, not only knowledge or skills. It's a holistic approach to education in which education issues are a very strong pillar. Ethical issues are sometimes overlooked in ESD research. Why? Because education for sustainable development has been introduced in the middle of at the beginning of the 21st century in all formal education, and especially in curriculum. And researchers in didactics, for instance, or in other science education research, try to help teachers and learners to develop project teaching about ESD. But curricula have always a political discourse on environment, on sustainable development, on what solutions do we have to create to fight against climate change and so on. And to be a researcher, to make a relevant research, we have to be not too close to the official political discourse. We need to be free. So an ethical stance implies taking politics in account, which is not always easy. I would try to give you an example. In France, when sustainable development has been introduced in the curriculum, the main part of research in environmental education has been reoriented to ESD, without a lot of question about, okay, what is changing between environmental education and ESD, and which political point of view is behind this change. More recently, in Switzerland, in Vaud, canton of Vaud, the curriculum has been changed from ESD to sustainability, and this changed the position of researcher in the field, and they are more focused now in than in ESD. So for me, this is an ethical question. We should have the liberty to get a position in the field without being directly linked to the institution position, which is different. Actually, in the French-speaking world, we have another very huge change, which is the orientation to education in the Anthropocene time, which is another way to make research on ESD, but without using the word sustainable development, because ESD has been imposed by the top and not from researcher or learners or teachers, from people on the field. So it's another way to consider ethical questions. And to think, if I am very close to those ethical questions, it's because I was in the art of those evolution at the beginning of the 21st century, and that I was very involved in all that change, and that's why it touched me. It is very close to me. I was trained by UQAM, so I follow the short program in environmental education in Quebec, Canada. So I'm very close to environmental education, as it is conceived in there, but my position have changed. Why? Because I got a full professorship in University of Paris-Cité, and my position was in didactics, and so I developed research more close to education to sustainable development, because I have to train teacher in geography and history education, and I have to help them to improve their skills and their knowledge in education to sustainable development. So I got a little bit far from environmental education and develop research in sustainable development. But I always try to to have a critical position with ESD and also all political questions linked to the topics, to the different topics. And actually, I developed research in education to climate change, especially in a project called V Global. We are trying to develop research. We are developing research in education to global change in higher education. So my position is not fixed. It has changed during my career. And I think it's also because environmental and sustainable development education have changed during the last 10 years. And I have to move. I can't stay against sustainable development as I was in my PhD. This is also a not very easy question. I think I will quote two books because they have a different role in the research field. The first one will be Éducation à l'environnement, so environmental education, from André Jourdan and Claude Pouchon. These books have been published in 92, so it's an old one, but it's one of the first book in French about environmental education. I mean, with by European researchers. So for me, this book is a kind of beginning evidence of research in environmental education in Europe. The second one is a little bit different because is not old. It's a dictionary, dictionnaire critique des concepts d'éducation A. So a critical dictionary of issues and concepts involved in education 4. This dictionary has been written by Angela Barthes, Nicole Tutot-Guillon, and Jean-Marc Lange. And so it's a recent one. It has been published in 2017, but it's a very important book because it is a kind of state of art with all the different objects in the field. I mean, we have a very strong concept actually in the French-speaking world, which is education 4. That means all education linked to transversal objects like education for sustainability, citizenship education, education to risk, education. So there's a lot of education 2 or education 4, and all those objects have some common points. And this dictionary helps us to have a better definition and a better conception of, okay, what are the common point between all those education 4 and what are the difference? So it's a key, it's really a key publication to be a researcher actually in the French-speaking world about sustainable education.